I'm Jeff Cornwall, and this is the Entrepreneurial Mind. Today our guest is Heath Shackleford with Good.Must.Grow. We'll be back to talk with him after this.
Talkapolis programming is sponsored in part by the Vane Center, now celebrating 10 years service in Nashville, Tennessee.
Welcome, Heath.
Hey, Jeff. Nice to be here.
Thanks. So you guys are what I would call a pretty niche marketing agency, isn't that right?
Absolutely.
You guys focus on primarily social enterprise. Is that true? Or?
We do. Social enterprises. We do a lot of work in the nonprofit sector, and then we're a social enterprise ourselves. So we have an active healthcare practice, which is our keep the lights on and the bills paid part of our business, and allows us to do a lot of creative things on the nonprofit side to help organizations that otherwise wouldn't have access to strategic marketing.
So tell me the history of that. I didn't know that part of your company.
Yeah, so after about 15 years in the corporate marketing space, I was a healthcare guy, moved to Nashville not knowing I was going to become a healthcare guy, but that tends to happen here.
Yeah.
Was getting less and less impressed with what I was doing every day in terms of the footprint I was leaving behind, the legacy, the role model I was setting for my two small boys, and looked around, and what I saw as a big problem was there's this growing space of both nonprofits and social enterprises trying to compete for the same share of mind and share of wallet against really big corporations, and without the marketing weaponry that they needed to be successful. And so I decided one day to resign from senior leadership role in a startup and start my own. And
it's kind of a scary day, isn't it?
It was, but you know, my favorite story, and my wife knows that I'll tell this, so I have permission, but after 6 months or so of talking through what would I do, would I start something, what would it be, how would it look, she finally one day just set her coffee down and looked at me and said, "Will you just shut up and do something already?" So I did, and that was the day, actually.
That's a good supportive spouse to have.
Yes, she took the last excuse from me, so I was like, if you're not scared, you know, I can't be either. So, but that was 2.5, almost 3 years ago.
So explain to me the social enterprise of how your business operates. So you've got a healthcare business and a marketing agency.
So the healthcare clients that we work with, we actually conduct marketing activity for them. So whether it's branding or PR or social, digital, whatever
And that's traditional kinds of clients.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so they have more traditional budgets, more traditional needs. And what we do is it typically works out about 50-50 with paying customers versus non-paying customers. And that's how we're set up today. Over time, we're looking to do some really innovative things in the product space that can deliver capacity and capability for nonprofits by the hundreds at a time or the thousands at a time, instead of just being able to help a couple of dozen that come through the front door one at a time. So long term, lots of big things on the horizon. But
can you share a little bit about what that might look like? Or
you know, I would need another 17 minutes to get there right now. So as the marketing guy, I'm like, I've got to have the elevator pitch down for me before I can. But it's coming fairly soon, and we're focusing on a few core things that every nonprofit needs and is without, and would go a long way to just equipping them to be more competitive.
So basically, for every dollar you bring in, you basically 50 cents covers your costs, and 50 cents.
That's pretty much the formula. So
goes towards helping these nonprofits.
Definitely. We also have a nonprofit fund where we can raise scholarship money for nonprofits. We haven't done a ton on the fundraising side yet because we've been able to subsidize a lot of really great projects just from the revenue generating side of what we do. But over time, we also plan to be a little more active on the donation side, recruiting our own donors or investors to place money into the fund so that other nonprofits can get access to strategic marketing.
Because I'd imagine you're having to beat off nonprofits with a stick sometimes.
Yeah, you know, it's a great problem because when they hear about the business model and the opportunity there, of course, you know, they want to take advantage of it. And so we've had to put more of a stringent screening process in place because of inbounds, just to to find people that we can help and that are ready,
Right.
that are in the stage where they can be helped.
So what does that process look like?
We do a fairly thorough just background check, just online scan of who they are and where they are in terms of their history and growth and maturity. We conduct interviews with their leadership. Really, for us, one of the big things that tells us if we can help them or not is just where they are philosophically with marketing. So
Right.
historically, a lot of nonprofits were just, it was time for the gala, or it was time to
The golf tournament?
the golf tournament, or their
Right.
website was in bad shape, but they were tackling everything very tactically.
Right.
And so when we meet a nonprofit that says we have needs and we want to know strategically where to go first, that gets us to stand up a little straighter and to pay more attention, because we know that they're ready to really do things that are going to change the trajectory of
So
where
are you
they
seeing that as more with maybe more established nonprofits, maybe even a little larger, that realize they have to kind of move into the new world, or are there newer startup nonprofits that are kind of getting it from the start, or what's you seen?
Both, yeah, both.
Okay.
So we have seen some that are just sort of they're in that same spot that a startup would be, where they're a legitimate organization. They've kind of hit the ceiling of where their funds can take them and where their operations can take them, and they need to break through. We've also seen a lot of nonprofits that are just starting up and that are coming into it knowing, eyes wide open, that fundraising and marketing, and these are going to be big challenges for them, and if they don't have a highly strategic way to approach that, they're just not going to be successful. So we've seen both of those things.
Do you see the healthcare companies that you're doing the work for, that are paying the bills? Are they, is part of the attraction to you the fact that they're also helping these nonprofits?
I'd like to think so. I mean,
it's also that you're good,
yeah,
obviously, and you have to
we're
deliver.
good at what we do. We have deep healthcare expertise on the team, and so I think first and foremost they do come to us because we know the healthcare space.
Right.
But very quickly they kind of fall in love with the mission of the organization and what we're trying to do. We're one of 3 certified B Corps in Nashville, which not everyone is familiar with that concept yet, but
Right.
national organizations, seal of approval for businesses that have a higher purpose. And so we're also campaigning to make that movement a little larger here. There's lots of great social enterprise activity in the area.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about
Yeah.
the B Corps a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and it just hasn't taken off, I think, as quickly as people had hoped.
No, not in Middle Tennessee,
Right.
but across the country.
Nationally it has.
Yeah, growing
Yeah.
crazy fast. But when our healthcare customers kind of hear that story and understand more of kind of how we operate and what we're doing, it does change the depth of our relationship with them, and we are more likely to get repeat business because we have the do good mentality at our core, in addition to the expertise.
So their notion is that you do a great job, and on top of that, the frosting is that they're helping other
Yep.
small organizations.
And when we send out invoices monthly, at the bottom of each invoice, there's a thank you note from us that says, for doing business with Good.Must.Grow, you were able to help charity XYZ with a special project to do.
Oh, very cool.
ABC. That was a really
Right.
simple thing that we instituted a while back. And funny thing happened. We started getting calls on invoices, not from people complaining about the price or not understanding what the
Right.
invoice was for, but more to say, can I learn more about that, because that really made me feel good to pay an invoice that was actually going to do something positive in the world.
Really
So
good story.
it was we didn't really intend for it to have that type of effect, but it's been cool to see that.
That is awesome. Well, we're about out of time, but I want you to promise that when you have this new
Yes.
leveraged approach to helping more nonprofits in place, I'd love for you to come back and share. 'Cause
Absolutely. Yeah, would love to.
It's an interesting time for me in terms of how technology is leveraging how we can help people. So look
Absolutely,
forward to
yeah.
hearing about that.
Would love to do that.
Thanks for coming
Yep.
in, Heath.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.